There are over 10,000 security cameras on the average cruise ship. They watch everything: the gangways, the pool decks, the hallways, even the elevators. But here's what they're not telling you. Those cameras aren't just there to keep you safe. They're monitoring threats you don't even know exist. Because while cruise lines spend millions on security infrastructure, they're completely silent about what they're actually protecting you from. It's not just about preventing theft or keeping track of passengers. There's a whole layer of security vulnerabilities happening on modern cruise ships right now. And I'm not talking about the obvious stuff like rough seas or food poisoning. I'm talking about cyber attacks, data breaches, and surveillance risks that could affect your safety, your money, and your privacy, without you ever knowing it happened. Today, I'm exposing 13 security risks on cruise ships you never hear about. And some of these? They're happening right now, on ships at sea, while thousands of passengers have no idea. Stick around until the end, because risk number 13 involves something you probably do every single day on your cruise. And it's putting your bank account at serious risk. Let's get into it. Risk number 1, the ship's Wi-Fi is a hacker's paradise. You connect to the ship's Wi-Fi the second you board. Makes sense, right? You want to post photos, check emails, stay in touch with people back home. But here's what they don't tell you. Cruise ship Wi-Fi is essentially a giant public hotspot shared by thousands of people, often with minimal encryption. According to cybersecurity experts from MXP and Viking Cloud, this makes it easier for hackers to intercept your data than almost any other environment. They can launch man-in-the-middle attacks. They can see what websites you're visiting, what you're typing, your passwords, your credit card numbers, all of it flowing through a network that wasn't built for security. It was built for convenience, and there's a massive difference. So here's what you do. Never do banking or enter sensitive information on ship Wi-Fi. Use your phone's cellular data if you have an international plan. Or better yet, bring a VPN, a virtual private network. It encrypts everything you send, makes it almost impossible to steal. Your data stays yours. Risk number 2, your cabin key card tracks. Everything that little plastic card they give you at check-in, it's not just a room key, it's a tracking device. Every time you scan it, at your cabin door, at the bar, at the buffet, at the casino, the ship knows. They know where you are, they know what you're buying, they know how long you stayed, and they're building a profile on you. Your spending habits, your movement patterns, your preferences. And that data? It's valuable. Not just to the cruise line, to their partners, to advertisers, to data brokers. You're generating revenue just by walking around the ship, and you're not seeing a cent of it. Now, I'm not saying this is illegal. It's not. It's in the terms and conditions you agreed to when you booked. But here's the thing. Most people don't realize it's happening. And once you know, you start thinking differently about every single tap of that card. Risk number 3, the ship's medical center. Isn't what you think? You get sick on a cruise. Happens all the time. Food poisoning, seasickness, flu, whatever. So you go to the medical center. You assume it's like going to a doctor at home. It's not. According to maritime law, the medical staff on cruise ships aren't always held to the same standards as doctors on land. They might not have the same training, the same certifications, the same oversight. And if something goes wrong, if they misdiagnose you or give you the wrong treatment, your legal options are extremely limited because you're in international waters, under maritime law, which is a completely different legal system than what you're used to. And here's the kicker. The medical center bills you like you're at a private hospital, hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars, for treatments that might not even be appropriate. And your regular health insurance probably doesn't cover it. So you're stuck paying out of pocket for care that might not meet the standards you'd expect on land. Hey guys, welcome back to Cruise Compendium. If you're realizing there's a lot about cruise security you didn't know, you're not alone. Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications, because we're the only channel consistently exposing the risks the cruise industry doesn't want you knowing about. Subscribe now. Let's keep going. Risk number 4. Maritime cyber attacks have doubled. This one's recent, and it's serious. According to the 2026 Maritime Cyber Threat White Paper published by CIDR, cyber attacks targeting the global maritime industry surged 103% in 2025. That's more than double the previous year. We're talking ransomware, DDoS attacks, malware infections. And these aren't just hitting corporate networks anymore. They're targeting the ship's operational systems, navigation, propulsion, communication. In one case documented in 2025, attackers paralyzed communications on over 100 ships simultaneously. Ships couldn't communicate with shore, couldn't report their positions, couldn't call for help, all because someone exploited a weakness in the satellite communication software. And the scary part? Most passengers on those ships had no idea it was even happening. Risk number 5. GPS spoofing can send you to the wrong place. GPS spoofing. Ever heard of it? It's when someone transmits fake GPS signals to make your navigation system think you're somewhere you're not. And it's happening. A lot. According to the same CIDR report, over 1,000 vessels per day in certain regions are affected by GPS signal interference. In May 2025, the MSC Antonia literally ran aground in the Red Sea because of spoofed GPS signals. The ship's navigation system thought it was in one place. It was actually somewhere else entirely. And this isn't just happening in war zones. It's happening in commercial shipping lanes, where cruise ships travel. And if your ship's navigation gets compromised, you could end up miles off course, in dangerous waters, without even realizing it until it's too late. Risk number 6. The crime rate is higher than they admit. Between January and September 2025, the FBI received 138 reports of criminal activity on cruise ships. That's just the serious stuff. Assaults with serious bodily injury, sexual assaults, thefts over $10,000, missing U.S. nationals. According to the U.S. Department of Transportation's quarterly cruise line incident reports, these numbers have been trending upward since 2016. Now, cruise lines will tell you cruising is safer than staying at home. And statistically, they might be right. But here's what they don't tell you. When a crime happens on a cruise ship, it's really hard to investigate. You're in international waters, multiple jurisdictions. By the time local law enforcement gets involved, the ship has usually sailed to another country. Evidence gets contaminated, witnesses scatter. And the cruise line's priority isn't always justice. It's keeping the cruise running, keeping passengers calm, protecting their reputation. Risk number 7. Crew access to your cabin. Your cabin steward has a master key. Makes sense. They need to clean your room. But here's what's uncomfortable. That key works when you're not there, and when you are there. And while most crew members are honest, hard-working people, not all of them are. According to multiple reports on Cruise Critic and Maritime security forums, there have been cases of crew members entering cabins without permission, going through luggage, stealing valuables. And because crew members come from dozens of different countries with different background check standards, the vetting process isn't always consistent. Some cruise lines do extensive screening. Others, not so much. And you have no way of knowing which category your ship falls into. So here's the move. Use the in-cabin safe for valuables. But don't just toss stuff in there. Actually lock it. And when you leave the cabin, put the Do Not Disturb sign on the door if you don't need cleaning that day. It's not foolproof, but it's a layer of security most people don't think about. You've seen the news stories. Passenger goes overboard. Sometimes it's an accident. Sometimes it's not. And cruise lines have these sophisticated systems now. Cameras, motion sensors, alarms that go off when someone falls. Sounds great, right? Except the system isn't perfect. According to maritime safety experts, there's a delay between when someone goes overboard and when the crew realizes it. Could be minutes, could be longer. And in the ocean, every second counts. The survival window in cold water is shockingly short. Even in warm water, trying to find one person in miles of open ocean is nearly impossible, especially at night. And here's the really uncomfortable truth. Some cruise lines still don't have these detection systems on all their ships. Or the systems they have are older, less reliable. But passengers don't know that, because it's not something cruise lines advertise. Now, if you're finding this information valuable, and maybe a little unsettling, do me a favor, hit that like button. Share this video with anyone you know planning a cruise. Because the more people who understand these risks, the more pressure there is on the industry to fix them. Let's keep going. Norovirus, the cruise ship illness everyone's heard about, causes vomiting, diarrhea, stomach cramps, spreads like wildfire in enclosed spaces, and cruise ships are required to report outbreaks to the CDC. But here's the thing. They only have to report if the illness affects a certain percentage of passengers. Fall below that threshold? They don't have to say anything, so you could board a ship where 20 people got sick the week before. But because it didn't hit the reporting threshold, you have no idea. You're walking into an environment where the virus might still be present. In the buffet, on the railings, on door handles, and you're completely unaware. Because the cruise line wasn't required to tell you. Modern cruise ships rely heavily on satellite communications. For navigation, for weather updates, for communication with shore, for all those TV channels and internet connections passengers love. But, according to recent maritime cybersecurity reports, these satellite systems are a major vulnerability. In 2025, there were multiple documented cases where attackers exploited weak credential management and outdated firmware to infiltrate ship systems through the satellite network. In one incident involving Iranian vessels, approximately 180 ships had their communications completely paralyzed. The attackers destroyed system components, severed links between ships and shore facilities, and the crew was essentially blind, couldn't navigate safely, couldn't call for help, couldn't warn other ships, all because the satellite system got compromised. And this isn't theoretical, this is happening. Right now. To commercial ships and potentially to cruise ships. And most passengers have absolutely no idea how vulnerable these systems actually are. Risk number 11. Your cabin has hidden cameras. Probably not, but okay, this one's controversial. Are there hidden cameras in your cabin? Officially? No. Cruise lines say absolutely not. And I believe them, mostly. But here's where it gets murky. There have been cases, documented cases, of crew members installing hidden cameras in passenger cabins. For personal reasons. Voyeurism, blackmail. It's rare, but it happens. And when it does happen, the cruise line's response is usually to fire the crew member and handle it quietly. Very quietly. Because the last thing they want is a public scandal about privacy violations. So here's what you do. When you get to your cabin, do a quick sweep. Look for anything unusual, smoke detectors that seem out of place, clocks or charging stations you didn't bring, anything with a lens or a tiny hole pointing at the bed or bathroom. Again, this is extremely rare, but it's not impossible. And knowing what to look for gives you peace of mind. Most cruise ships don't fly American flags. They fly flags of convenience, Panama, Liberia, Bahamas. Why? Because those countries have looser regulations, lower taxes, fewer safety requirements, and that includes fire safety. According to maritime law experts, fire safety standards on ships flagged in certain countries aren't as strict as what you'd find on US-flagged vessels. That means sprinkler systems might be different. Fire doors might not be as robust. Evacuation procedures might not be as thoroughly drilled. And if there's ever a fire on board, which does happen, you're relying on standards that might not be as high as you'd expect. Risk number 13. Your phone's Bluetooth and NFC are trackable. Here's the one most people never think about. Your phone's Bluetooth. Your smartwatch. Any device with NFC or Bluetooth enabled. When you're walking around the ship, those signals are being picked up, tracked, logged. Cruise lines use this data for operational purposes, tracking foot traffic in different areas, seeing how long people spend at certain venues, optimizing layouts. Sounds harmless, right? Except that data is also incredibly valuable for targeted advertising, and depending on the cruise line's privacy policy, they might be sharing it with third parties, or selling it. And you probably agreed to this when you booked. But nobody actually reads those terms and conditions. So your phone is essentially a walking tracking beacon, broadcasting your location, your habits, your behavior, all for the benefit of not you. The fix? Turn off Bluetooth when you're not actively using it. Disable NFC unless you're making a payment. It won't stop all tracking, but it reduces your digital footprint significantly. All right, guys, that's 13 security risks on cruise ships you probably never heard about until today. And honestly, I could keep going. There's more. But these are the big ones. The ones that affect the most people, the ones the industry really doesn't want you focusing on. If this video opened your eyes to something you didn't know, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Drop a comment below telling me which risk surprised you the most. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Cruise Compendium. Because we're not just here to help you save money and avoid scams. We're here to help you stay safe. And that's something the cruise lines should be doing, but often aren't. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced any of these security issues on a cruise? Have you ever felt unsafe? Let me know your story down below. Stay smart, stay safe, and happy cruising.